This is Chef Aaron McCargo Jr., and you're listening to Fascination Street Podcast.
Yeah! AV in your ears. That's Ambush being giving you this audio visual down the most interesting street in the world. With my boy Steve, Fascination Street. You already know. Let's get it when you whip in the Fascination Street. What do you see?
Welcome back, Streetwalkers. This episode is with Chef Aaron McCargo Jr. Back in 2008, Chef Aaron won the Next Food Network Star Season 4 on the Food Network channel, which launched him into his very own show for 7 seasons called Big Daddy's House. In this episode, we talk about what made him want to get into the culinary world, what inspired this dude to cook. We talk about what it was like to have his own show, some of the things that went on behind the scenes. We talk about some of the partnerships that he has had over the years with different companies and why he thought marrying his brand with theirs was a good idea. Aaron tells us about his products, The Spice and The Sauce, and exactly what those are. Also, he has a cookbook called Simply Done, Well Done. And lastly, we talk about his very own nonprofit, which is called Play to Win. And this nonprofit helps mentor young men from basically the 9th grade on into adulthood when there aren't really any training wheels to help us get through some of those tough years. Chef McCargo is super passionate about everything that he does and everything that we talk about in this episode. And now I bring to you the Season 4 winner of the Next Food Network Star, Chef Aaron McCargo Jr.
Prepare to be fascinated. Prepare to be fascinated. Prepare to be fascinated.
Welcome to Fascination Street Podcast, Chef Aaron McCargo Jr. What's up, Big Daddy?
What's going on? How you feeling, brother?
I cannot complain, man. Ladies and gentlemen, long time ago, before the wind, before the snow, there was a TV show on the Food Network channel called The Next Food Network Star. The first winners, it was a couple of dudes, and then they had a show. Didn't last very long. No fault of their own. The second winner of this annual contest was none other than the great Guy Fieri, who went on to fame and fortune and everything that goes with that. The third winner, Amy Finley, there was a little bit of drama leading up to the finale of that one, but my wife and I watched season 3. We didn't watch the first 2 seasons of that. We watched season 3, and we were like, well, holy moly, I bet that would be a lot of fun. And then right towards the end of season 3, they flashed on the screen, hey, Steve, you want to be on season 4 of the Next Food Network Star? And I looked at my wife, and I was like, well, it does say Steve. And she was like, no, it doesn't. And I was like, but listen, what if we did that? And she was like, well, that sounds fun. So my wife and I made an audition tape. This is the only reality show or TV show of any kind that my wife and I have ever auditioned for or even sent in a tape or whatever. So we put together a tape, and I say tape because it was an actual VA, it was a videotape. We put together a little tape of us cooking in the kitchen, and our whole thing was that on Sundays, we cooked for the whole week. And at the time, we had 2 kids eating us out of house and home. So it was a lot of cooking on Sundays. And we were like, hey, you know what? There doesn't seem to be a show currently on the Food Network at the time that was like, cook all the meals on Sunday. And then that frees up your time for soccer practice, ballet practice, ROTC, all the other jobs, sitting in traffic. It frees up your time so you can actually sit around the table and enjoy each other instead of sweating and slaving over the kitchen and then cleaning. Boy, am I glad that we were not selected to be part of that, because when we watched season 4, we were like, this looks grueling as hell. It looked tough. It looked hard. It looked uncomfortable. It looked mean-spirited at times. But ladies and gentlemen, I tell you that long, boring, dull story because this man, Chef Aaron McCargo Jr., Big Daddy, this dude won season 4, the Next Food Network Star, 2008. Oh my gosh. I know that was probably the worst intro you've ever had, but you look so good, dude. You look so young. You look younger now than when you won.
No stress.
Listeners, you already know. I've had a couple of other Food Network Star winners on the show. I had Damaris Phillips on a while back, and Jason Lord Honey Smith, he's been on twice. That dude's rad too. Damaris, she won season 9. Jason won season 13. but we are here to talk about my hero, Big Daddy, Aaron. What I like to do is I like to start from the beginning. It helps us understand how you got to the magnificent heights of where you are now. So where were you born and raised, man? Where'd you grow up?
Camden, New Jersey, brother. I'm a Camden native. I'm born and raised, bred thick as thieves. This is what we do.
I've only been to three cities in New Jersey. I've been to Hoboken, I've been to Red Bank, and I've been to Rahway, which, by the way, I'm sorry, New York. Rahway, New Jersey is the best pizza I've ever had. Where in relation to any of that is Camden?
So all that's north, I'm south. So I can walk to Philly from where I'm at. So I'm right across the Ben Franklin Bridge. So we're way south.
Why would you walk to Philly? That sounds dangerous.
Because Philly's got a great food scene. I walk for the food.
You know, I heard that Philly has a great food scene.
Yes.
I heard some other things about Philly, and we might get into that at some other point. Mm-hmm. But right now, I want to know about you, man.
Yeah.
I know that when you were a wee little thing, you tried to burn the house down with an easy bake oven.
Oh, you digging in the crates right now?
I am. So I want to know, where did you get this desire to be in the kitchen and cooking and cutting and chopping and burning stuff down? And later on, we'll talk about that Cracker Jack brittle. But before we do all that, how did you get into the food, man? Why food?
Honestly, I was a greedy kid. I always loved to eat, man. I came from a large family. It was 6 of us, 70s, 80s, you know how it was. A lot of big families. On our block, it was a lot of large families. We had the bodegas, we had the corner stores, but my mom and dad were just working to provide. And when it came down time to eat dinner, you know, if it's a pack of chicken legs that had 12 pieces, my dad being the breadwinner would get the 4, my mom would get the 2, and do the math. It left an argument at the end, 6 to split. And that one wasn't enough for me ever. So I realized how much I love food. I realized how much I enjoyed watching my parents cook, because both my mom and my dad both contributed to the cooking. And I just watched them and smelled the flavors. And I said, one day, you know, I want to do this. And I remember just sitting there gazing at 7. My dad looked at me and said, hey, you're going to be a chef one day. And I had no idea what he meant. But he kept encouraging me because he kept seeing me going in the kitchen and taking scraps and making things. And of course, my sister's easy bake oven became my microwave oven, convection, whatever you name it. And I started to do things for my siblings, and they always supported me still to this day. They were like, watch my creations with what was left over in the fridge, and they ate it and critiqued it. And we just kept pushing from there. And then I just kept following this trait of trying to create my own flavors, my own style of cooking, and making sure that it was something that people would remember.
Love it. Did you end up going to culinary school?
Yes, I went to ACC. It's the Cape May Community Atlantic Culinary School now, but at the time it was Atlantic Community Culinary School. I'm in Maysland in New Jersey, and that's where I had got that formal training. But once again, I was a rebel, always wanted to add my twist on it, so here I am.
I know that you got picked on growing up. Now, other people, not me, because I was cool as hell, but some actual friends that I have in New Jersey, they talk about getting picked on in the 70s and 80s because they liked comic books. And we all know where that turned into now. You can't even go to the movie theater and not watch a comic book film. What made you stick with it? Why, even though you were getting picked on, I got to imagine Camden is not the super kind, sweet streets, especially back then growing up. Why didn't you just be like, nah, man, I don't like cooking. What that's for girls, bro.
Funny you said that, man. No one ever asked me that question. It's a great question. My dad was a stand-up guy. He didn't take no nonsense from nobody. He always pushed me to keep doing and every day I came home crying or angry, like being jumped, being picked on for cooking. I never knew why. They would call me gay, stupid, retarded, whatever. And I'm like, I'm cooking, I'm doing stuff. But it wasn't seen. There was no guy cooks. There was Jock Papon if you watch Channel 12 and Yang Can Cook. But other than that, you didn't see no real cooks or people thinking about being a cook. We knew that they were in the restaurants, but no one was really following the food scene back then like they're doing now. But my dad kept pushing. My sisters and my brothers kept saying, keep doing it. And then I bumped into some really good, solid guys that happened to come on my show that said, man, we love your cooking, man. You're going to be the bomb one day. And they kept sticking with me and pushing me. So I say influence from really good friends kept me pushing through and not giving up. And my faith in God never allowed me to turn back.
Indeed. So Big Daddy's House, it aired for 7 seasons on the Food Network. That means something. Back in the day when this dude won the next Food Network star, and the prize at the end of that show, if you win, the whole prize was you get a season, or maybe even, I don't even remember it, but they guarantee you so many episodes.
6.
Okay. So they guarantee you 6 episodes. And, sometimes people don't go past that. And now I don't even know if they offer 6 episodes anymore. I have no idea. But do you think that the culture at the Food Network has changed? Your show, they call it Stand and Stirs, right? Which is when you were teaching people how to cook things.
Right.
And now I feel like every show on that channel is a competition show.
Right.
It's how fast can you bake these ugly cookies? How fast can you bake these pretty cookies? How tall can you bake this cake? Can you make a ribeye in a campfire if we only give you 2 sticks and a tennis shoe? They do all these weird competition shows and kind of have done away with, from what I can tell, the quote unquote stand and stir shows. I have a hunch that has a lot to do with the cost of things. It's got to be cheaper to run a competition show in the woods than it is to full blown out a stand and stir with a set and all the PAs and all the other. I know you probably can't tell me why, but did you notice a change in the culture during the 7 years that you had your show there?
Well, absolutely. It actually upsetted me, to be honest with you, because the diversity really changed. There are a lot of people that still want to see the stand and stir. They got the Drummonds and they got a couple of the other ones that are still there. Even Guy has a lot of shows on there where he's pretty much still in the stand and stir way of cooking. But for me, it's so much more engaging when you do have those type of shows, and there are other networks that have gotten into the stand and stir realm of cooking and it's successful, and I personally miss that because it gave you an opportunity to not just have people go for the quick Pinterest, TikTok, Instagram way of cooking, but to actually sit there and learn to be taught by professionals, because this is what I do. This is what I've went to school for and been trained to do all these years, which is to create recipes for those to come into restaurants to eat, but also to teach those that are novice that want someone to be friendly in the kitchen and not insulting and show them how to do the basic things to the more complicated things. So I think it's a sad situation, but who am I? I'm just stating my own personal opinion, and I keep standing and stirring in my own kitchen.
Listeners may or may not know, but I don't currently, and I haven't for 15, maybe 20 years, but for 25 years of my life, all I did was work in restaurants. Mm-hmm. All I did was work in kitchens. I trained under chefs. The kitchen was my thing. Cooking was my jam. And even with all of that experience, I would learn things from those stand and stirs that I did not know before. Even with all that experience working in actual restaurants, I didn't know some of this stuff. And so I learned a bunch of stuff from these stand and stirs that I still use to this day. It breaks my heart, that they're kind of, I guess, got out of favor for whatever reason. But I want to take this time to thank you, because your show, not only was it something that kept me and my wife engaged, and well, that'd be weird if I was just engaged to my wife, but you know what I'm saying, kept us engaged and kept giving us a reason to keep paying for cable. We don't even have the Food Network channel anymore because, we cut the cord, got rid of cable, and there was no real reason to keep the Food Network because, like I said, it's all competition. I don't care about that. But thank you for 7 seasons of helping America learn how to cook, because holy moly, nobody knows how to cook anymore, my dude.
Telling me.
There was no Uber Eats. Come on, dude. People are having Taco Bell delivered to their house, and the delivery costs more than the food. What is happening?
Go figure, right? I mean, I thought it was just me noticing this, and I've recently done some SMTs with DoorDash to get folks to go in that direction. But
what's an SMT?
Satellite media tour. That's
Okay.
when I'm all over the country just talking about, why you should have DoorDash as part of your football season and tailgating. But on the flip side, I'm like, hey, I miss the stand and stir. I miss being able to learn and to teach, because I was watching a lot of these guys just like you were. And I thank you guys for watching me, because there wouldn't have been those 7 seasons without folks like you and your wife and people that were interested in just learning the basics to the non-basics. It's such an educational platform for us that love food, not just foodies, but we love food, we engage. And I'm surprised you've been in the game that long to be able to know what goes on behind the scenes, and you appreciate the value that I appreciate in this whole food industry.
Well, thank you. Right back at you.
Yes, sir.
To give you an idea of how important food was, in my growing up, our son went to Le Cordon Bleu.
Wow.
And he went to Le Cordon Bleu in Austin, and I think it was the year after he graduated. I don't even think there's any more Le Cordon Bleu in America. I think they left.
Wow.
But, he was there, and he's still cooking in restaurants now. And, he's 30 and loving every minute of it. Earlier this week, he almost cut the tip of his finger off. So, he's all bandaged up and he's still going to have it.
Yeah.
It's going to feel a little bit different, but, he's still right there in it.
Yeah.
I know that it was a big transition You won this show, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, you won.
Yeah.
It was a huge deal. Was there any one person who guided you or mentored you the most during all of that transition into becoming this, global sensation, a food star?
I have to say there's been a couple. That initial win was a shock. You're taking a brother from the streets, from the hood, from Camden, is nervous, shy, always to myself, only in the kitchen. I didn't talk to no one but my family. And when I first heard that I won, I'll have to say there was Sonny Anderson, there was Guy Fieri, there was my producer, Gordon Elliott, and also the Neelys. I mean, Pat Neely, these guys reached out to me and they said, hey, whatever you need, we're here to help you and get you started. So I was blessed to have that, including my siblings, who are my best friends and my childhood friend that were on the shows, encouraged me. I was surrounded, man, because I was nervous. I had no idea what to do, with TV and, agents and attorneys and all that kind of crap. So learned a lot in a short period of time.
You mentioned Sonny Anderson. I don't know how many people know this, but I live here in San Antonio, and like for a hot minute, long before she was on TV, she was a DJ on a radio station here in San Antonio.
Yep.
That's some local. I think her dad was in the military or something. That's why they were here.
Yep.
But I always loved her too. And I used to love to watch her show. She shouted out the Beastie Boys one day on her show. That was amazing.
She good people.
Oh, she's awesome. I don't really like to go here. I don't ever talk about race. I'm about to.
Got you.
In a way, how important do you think it is to see somebody who quote unquote looks like you doing the things on TV that you're passionate about? How important? We always hear, I never saw somebody who looked like me, or I finally saw somebody who looked like me doing this or that. How important is that?
100% important. I will say that from this day to the day I die, because depending on where you're from or wherever you're at, if you're black, you're black. If you're Mexican, you're Mexican. You gravitate.
Hold on. I'm going to write this down. If you're black, you're black. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. And if you're there's no change in that. If you're in the music industry, you look to people in music to influence you. If you're in, the police or emergency responders, you respond to people you like. But to see someone not only just be black on TV, but to see someone black in cooking, and coming from Camden, I didn't see a lot of that. I worked at Cooper Hospital in Camden, New Jersey, and this guy, Clement, was a cook in Cooper's who told me, I'm going to teach you how to become a chef. I'm going to teach you how to cook. And he was the only first guy besides my dad that I ever saw as a black cook. And that motivated me to stay in it. And now that I have a nonprofit, now that whenever I'm traveling, so many people come up to me of the black race and say, hey, my son or my daughter wants to cook because they never saw a black person on TV. And it's a sad shame that there isn't a lot more on those Food Network channels and all those bigger channels and networks, because it's an influence to not just the black people, but also to other nationalities. It opens up to say, hey, you know what? Whether you're Puerto Rican, Mexican, Australian, you name it, you can do this too. And that's my message. That I'm not the only one. I'm not the most talented black chef out there. There's many more. I'm glad to see Marcus Samuelson out there doing his thing. I'm glad to see Eric, that's on Food Network, doing his thing and judging. I'm glad to see a lot of these guys, Chef Jeff, you name it. There's so many guys that are so talented that I look up to and I admire, but it's still only a very few. So yes, it's very important. I wish that the networks will open their eyes to make more space and room for it. And I think that the diversity is definitely needed in the food space, and it will be appreciated in the inner cities and the outer cities. And that's my personal 2 cents on that.
I'm just a white dude. What do I know? But the diversity part is less about skin color for me, but it's more about it's culture. Like watching Down Home with the Neelys. I got to see them cook some things that I didn't know how to cook, but it wasn't because they were black. It was because of where they're from, how they were brought up. It was the culture. Does that make any sense? So, and like Marcus Samuelson, the same thing. They cook things that I'm unfamiliar with or I didn't grow up with. And so I think that just getting to know the culture kind of expands a little bit. I don't want to say my knowledge, but I'm going to say my knowledge.
Yeah.
I get the people look like you, but I think it's more about people or from where you're from. Does that make sense?
It does, but this is the difference, because I come from Camden and there isn't a lot of influence in my space, in my craft. And I know that these guys got a choice to go sell drugs, drop out of school, kill someone, or learn how to cook. So I find that very important that they see a guy like me. And they let me know it's important to see a guy like me, a black guy, on TV, that's success. That's I can do it. Because when I bump into them, I let them know that, hey, you got options. Because I had a dad that told me I had options. A lot of these guys don't have father figures, don't have role models, don't have good friends. I had a little bit of all of that to influence me. And so they need to see that there is options outside of the city. And the Camden scene has come a long ways from what it has been, but we still got a little bit of ways to go to be better. But I know that it's all about the influence of knowing that I have options. And that's my message to anyone, be it music or be it writing or entertainment or just cooking, letting the youth know, because it's not about us. The adults, we talk the same, you know what I'm saying? But as a youth, you need to have that hope. And I had hope because my dad told me, like I said before, at 7, hey, you're going to be a chef. Whatever that meant, he kept pounding in my head, keep cooking, keep cooking, keep cooking. My nonprofit talks about keep going after your passion and your dream. But I got to keep forcing it in these guys because I know they got a lot of things going on at home, in the streets, the influencing, the bullying, you name it. They're dealing with a lot of things. What we hear now about depression and mental illness, that's all a matter of just, getting support.
Wow. Boy, am I glad I asked that question.
You got it.
I agree wholeheartedly with everything you said. And I think for me, the reason the color doesn't come into play is because I'm white. Like I see people who look like me everywhere.
Yeah.
So I get it. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for letting me go there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
My Grandpa's Grandpa is an award-winning children's book. The story is that a grandfather, me, is tucking in Charlie, my grandson. Like all little children, he starts asking questions at bedtime. The questions he asks are about my grandfather. This book is a great way to think about how you can share stories of your family members with your children and grandchildren. You can order this book by going to Amazon or my website, cool-grandpa.us. If you purchase the book from my website, be sure to use the coupon code FS25 and save 25% on your order of my book, My Grandpa's Grandpa, from now until the end of the year.
Let's get back into it.
After you won season 4 of the next Food Network Star, what surprised you the most about how the TV show was filmed? Like, I heard a story once where you were on set or whatever, and it takes a while to film a 30-minute show. And so,
yeah, all day.
Yeah, all day. At a certain point, it was time for everybody to break for lunch, and everybody left, and you just kind of stood there watching some pasta boil. And somebody, I think it was Pat Neely, was like, what are you doing over there? Like, it's time to go to lunch. And you're like, no, but this pasta's going to so
where did you get this stuff from, man?
Magic. Like you said, I have behind the scenes. So what surprised you the most about how a show was filmed? You didn't come from TV. You had no idea how any of that works. So what surprised you the most about that whole world?
The catering to you and your style. That was unique. Phil Falsoni was my culinary producer. I met this guy out on a whim. I never knew what a culinary producer was. I never knew what PAs, none of this, makeup, none of this. And to have someone really come in, and my producer, Gordon Elliott, and his whole Fowler production company really made sure that they treated me like royalty, so to speak. And it was all a matter of saying, hey, whatever you need, we want you to be the best in front of the camera, doing what you do. And I went the first day on set, I had no idea. I was just cooking and not paying attention to the mic and all that, and the camera A, camera B. I was just cooking. And they realized I was still nervous because I didn't want to make mistakes because I thought TV was being perfect. And I didn't understand they make that look perfect for you. Just be you. And when you speak of that story with Pat Neely, I went down to Memphis to tape with him and Gina. And I literally never believed in wasting food. It's the way I was brought up. And I never knew about TV. So I'm like, hey, you guys, they say, all right, break for lunch. And everyone left. And these egg noodles were just boiling away. I'm like, hey, we need to make sure they don't stick. Let me drink. And he came back out and like, dude, they got that. Come on, come chill, eat lunch. I'm like, so I go to eat with the crew. They're like, dude, order what you want to order. I'm like, well, they eating pretty good. I like what they have. They're like, that's not what you do now. With the story about picking the M&Ms out the bag, pick the only red ones. And they really send people to do this kind of stuff. And I'm shocked. I'm like, I pick my own M&Ms. Don't put the brown ones out. I take them home. I was just clueless. I was in good hands. And they taught me that this is how it's done to preserve your energy, because I didn't know how much energy would go into making a 30-minute show. It's a lot of energy. And don't let it be a barbecue show because you got to do everything in reverse. That's 13, 14, 15 hours a day just so you can optimize the light, So everything was a shell shock to me, and I could just because of the way I was raised.
Why do you have to do everything in reverse if it's a barbecue?
Because you want to get the sunlight. So if I'm going to do a brisket recipe, normally you'll see me in the kitchen getting the spices, rubbing it down. All right, now we're going to let this sit in the fridge for a couple of hours, and then we'll go back and let it. Well, in reality, I had to have done all that behind scenes, and then I got to start grilling first because the sunlight was there, and it would take 3 or 4 hours to complete it, and then go back in because I'm indoors doing the first part. So at nighttime, I was actually, because you could never tell if it's day or night. So if that makes sense, that's why we had to do it the reverse.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing that impacted you was how much you, I guess, mattered. You weren't just a cog in the machine. Everybody was just, like you said, catering to you.
Yeah, because guess what? Everyone's paycheck was based on us doing a great show. You don't get another episode or another season unless that talent's drawing those ratings. And they believed in that model. They took care of me from morning, noon to night, hotel stay, whatever had to be done to make sure I was well rested, well prepared. The recipes made sense. And then eventually my nerves started to calm down and I just started to get into my flow.
Got you. Now we're going to go to the hard-hitting questions.
Let's do it.
Where is the best pizza in New Jersey?
Oh, you can't do that to me. All right. I'll say in my area, I won't even say the best. I'll say one of the best because I hate when they tag the best because it's always someone that's got that. Right now, I'm talking about Francello's. That's a joint in Camden. They do really, really good pizza, very consistent. I love that thin crust, well done, crispy on the bottom, but you can still fold it type joint.
So New York style.
Yeah, more like that New York style. Yeah.
And are you just having a cheese pie or are you having cheese and pepperoni? What are you doing?
I'm a sausage, pepperoni, bacon, jalapeno dude.
Damn, put it on there, man.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Moving on.
Absolutely.
Tell me about this Cracker Jack brittle.
It's dope. I'll make you some right now if you're down. I got an easy bake in storage. I can break it out for you, only for you.
So tell me how this happened. How did this Cracker Jack brittle come to be?
We were on punishment. And so we had a 2-bedroom house.
This is when you were a little kid, right?
When I was like a 7-year-old. Yeah. My sister got the easy bake for Christmas. We were always leaving food around, and actually the Cracker Jack box, after you take the prize, the nuts weren't all that good. The popcorn was kind of caramely, but I always felt it needed a little bit more caramel. So I decided to take some sugar, put it in the little easy bake tin with the Cracker Jacks, and I crushed the peanuts up to spread the peanuts on it so it had like a layer. Long and behold, I didn't know that sugar turns to caramel. If you cook it too long under a light, it will catch fire. And so I slid this bad boy in the easy bake oven. Before you know it, got hot, started to smoke. I panicked. My mom and them smelling sugar burning, thinking the house is burning down. And then the bulb bust. And so now we got no bulb, no nothing but the Cracker Jack brittle. And I let it sit and it got hard. So now I'm banging it out the pan. And then before you know it, we were like, we're not going to trash it. So we just broke it up in pieces and all 6 of us started sucking on it and licking it until we realized that that's what brittle was. 5 years later, I'm like, oh, watching Channel 12, PBS, I see them making homemade brittle. That's what I made. So I didn't get credit for it, but who knows? Maybe I will one day. Now that I shared the secret with you.
Well, you definitely will get credit here. Also, a few years ago, you teamed up with Fresenius Medical Care.
Yes.
And you guys got together and basically you came up with some kidney-friendly dishes or something. Like, how did that come about? Like, tell me about that.
I tell you what, my management team called me and they asked me, hey, do you know anyone with kidney failure? And at the time, one of my best friends who appeared on my show with me, who encouraged me throughout the years, he wound up on dialysis. And then Fresenius, was the largest provider of dialysis services in North America. And I knew how to cook, but I didn't know the restrictions to these diets. And so they have such a professional group of people, from the nutritionists to the dietitians to the nurses, that took time to educate me on what this whole dialysis restriction renal failure diet is all about. And I got to learn about how to get people to eat great food while on dialysis, because they're limited in their salt intake, they're limited in their liquid intake, no phosphorus, no potassium. So when we think about phosphorus and potassium, those are big words that we don't know. That's no oranges, bananas, tomatoes, potatoes, corn. All those things are reduced to almost zero. And then you're supposed to have fun about food. So if you're a French fry lover, or you love biscuits, or you like fried chicken or a ham or any of these things, they're pretty much obsolete from your diet. Well, they gave me the opportunity and God gave me the gift to go in and create recipes that worked within their diets so that they can still have the buffalo wings, they can still have the pizza, they can still have the spaghetti and the snacks and things of that nature, but it fit within their diet. That's what I enjoyed doing with them for 3 years. And what a great experience. I got to travel the country to go to different facilities and encourage people to change their diet to eat healthier. And it helped me change my diet a lot because, when you start thinking about how much salt is in a lot of the things we eat and how much the things that we shouldn't have on a daily basis, it makes you think about, hey, I want to live long too. So if I can trim back the sodium in some of these things I'm eating, back to the stand and stir in the kitchen, teaching people how to not have to go buy convenient products or processed foods. You can make this at home. Then I'm all for it. And I enjoy doing that. I created a lot of recipes with them and for them. And it was something that helped my friend who has passed from it, but who had an opportunity to really learn a lot about how to eat differently while on dialysis.
I'm sorry about your friend.
Appreciate that. Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. Wow. That sounds like it was a lot of fun, and it sounds like he learned a lot.
I get these questions coming through my website or through any of the socials, and like, hey, I'm dealing with someone that's a diabetic, or I have a friend that's on dialysis, or someone's dealing with renal failure or stage 4. Anything you can offer them, or as far as this is what they like to eat, they can't put it down. Anything you can do. And if it's not there, I'll create something for them, and put it out there and say, hey, hopefully this will help.
Earlier, when you were talking about some of the recipes and whatnot with that you did when you partner with Fresenius, you mentioned hot wings, and I think it's hilarious because I actually have it on my notes here. How long is it going to take this dude to mention hot wings? Because I heard you love hot wings so much that if you were going to have a last meal, that's what you're having is hot wings. You're going to have some other stuff, but there's definitely going to be hot wings on your last meal.
Yeah, for sure. That's at the top. Last meal, first meal, kill me and wake me up so I can have it again.
He said, kill me, wake me up so I can have it again. This is going to be a sentence I never thought I would say in my entire life. At one point, you had or have, I'm assuming you had, past tense, a partnership with, wait for it, Family Dollar.
Yeah.
First, how did that happen? And second, what made you think that was a good fit for their brand and your brand?
First, once again, a great management team that brings me opportunities that they believe fits with who I am genuinely and my brand. Secondly, they stick a lot of these Family Dollars in areas like mine, in Camden, New Jersey, in Jersey City, in Newark, in Atlantic City, and all over the country, you'll see these Family Dollars. And the message for that whole partnership was to let folks know that if you can't get to the big brand box supermarkets or bulk store shopping markets, this is a store in your neighborhood that you can still survive off of, and you can still go in and get a lot of the basics to the non-basics, to the essentials and non-essentials to have a good lifestyle without breaking the bank. And when you go through Family Dollar, which I still do, you'll find the spices, you'll find, the baked goods, you'll find even deli and eggs and things of that nature. They do have a lot of things that are those, so to speak, bodega corner store items, but at a reasonable price. And you can get, your cooking utensils, and you can get, the measuring spoons and things of that nature that won't break the bank, but it allows you to still have those things, whether you have a car or not, or whether you have a great paying job or not. That tied into my brand because that's who I am. I'm the down-to-earth dude that will never forget where I've come from, hopefully. And I believe that God has placed me here so that I can let people know, like, not only is there a chance for you to do better for yourself, but, these Family Dollar partnerships and allowing folks to know, like, I can go and get things from there and make my own recipes. So, hey, I can tell you to go to Family Dollar. That's the only thing you have to make my recipes as well. And that's what made the brands sync, is that we were really just reaching out to a certain audience that were limited in resources, limited in travel, and they really wanted to make sure that they can have the same cooking experience as I do.
When you say that your brand is based on limited resource and kind of using what you got, that really did come through on your show, Big Daddy's House. I know that part of that whole Next Food Network star, and they drill it into you guys. And they must drill it into you guys crazy because they drill it into us as viewers that you have to have your own culinary point of view.
Yes.
That was yours, and it came through for the entire run of the 7 seasons. So that speaks a lot to your genuineness, if that makes sense.
Yep.
That's who you are.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. You could talk about these next few things as much or as little as you want to.
You got it.
Tell me about AMJ 101.
I have a strong faith in God. A lot of folks don't allow me to say that, A lot of folks don't want me to say that, but I start always with Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. It's not to persuade anyone to be religious or anything else, but I know personally I would not be here. I know my upcoming. I know where I've dodged bullets, literally and figuratively. I had choices to go other ways than to go with cooking. I was being persuaded to be in a drug gang like a lot of the inner city folks in Camden was. And I was blessed to have a father in my life that kept me grounded. I had a mother in my life that kept me grounded. I had siblings that kept me grounded and that encouraged me to stick with this cooking, because 1,000,001 times I started to quit. And 1,000,001 times I started to go a different direction. And then I was able to meet a pastor that believed in me and saw my cooking ability. And before 2008 came, and I was sitting at Jefferson Hospital, until this day, Mary Grant was my best boss I've ever had as far as a female that really understood someone with a passion to cook. And I could tell no one that I was going to compete, because it would have been, you're out of a job. Here I am, the executive chef of catering in a major hospital in Philadelphia, major catering company in Philadelphia, inside the hospital. And I'm leaving to go compete to find a better life for my family. That wasn't heard of. And she stuck by my side. She encouraged me. And AMJ started to really understand that this is who I'm going to be. I'm going to be the guy that's low on the totem pole, that's going to always try to bring someone up, always try to encourage someone to do better, always going to believe in someone's dreams, believe in someone's goals, because I had people believe in my dreams. When I said I was going to be a chef and when everyone laughed, I had a few that believed. And I always want people to believe that it came from my faith. It came from me being surrounded with good people and believing that all I had to do was cook. And that's all I believe. Do what you do best and do what you love best. Don't worry about the money. Don't worry about the fame. Just go out there and do what you do. You know, you're passionate about having this podcast. Is amazing. You're connecting with me as your, not just a viewer, not just the person you're interviewing, but you're connecting with me as a person. You make me want to talk to you. You make me want to engage with you because you're relaxed at this. You're not anxious to paint a picture for me. You want to hear my picture. You know, you're just throwing out questions. I've done a lot of these, man. And there's a lot of insincere people that ask for these interviews, and they're so full of it and they're so fake and they're just trying to, you know, whatever they're trying to do. And I don't like it. But this is who I am. I want to be real with people. I want people to know that if you see me in the street, if you see me at home, if you see me at church, if you see me with my family, this is always going to be the AMJ. The dude that's going to love you, that's going to encourage you, that's going to be passionate about you, that's going to be for you. And being the one that was always the underdog, I'm an underdog lover. So if you want to wrap that up in a nutshell, AMJ is all about love, life, and happiness, and keeping the faith in what you believe.
Love it. Side note, if you ever do come to San Antonio, we should go get some hot wings. Side note to that, I get all the legs, you get all the flats.
I'm a flat lover, dude. You ain't got to tell me twice.
I know, that's why I said it. I never even heard anybody call it a flat until I heard you say it. I don't know if you still have it, but I know that at one time you had a restaurant called McCargo's. Is that still around?
No, it's not actually. That ended before I went to the next Food Network star. So I had to cut everything loose.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and then I came back and I started doing a lot of consulting, but I'm actually working to build a food scene in Camden, New Jersey, all over again, bigger and better. So I'm excited about that.
I heard that. I wanted to talk about that.
Yes.
I even wrote it down. Last I heard, you were doing a kind of unique thing in Camden, trying to bring a super dope food-related location thing. Tell me about it, dude. How's it going? And what is the goal? What's the dream? What's it gonna be?
I always compare it to like a Reading Terminal Market in Philadelphia, but they have like Chelsea's Market.
What about like Italy?
Yes, better example, Italy. I wasn't sure if you were familiar with that, but exactly. But the difference is we're looking to incorporate, and I got to say we as my partners, Nichelle, Justin, Joyce, and myself, we wanted to put together something that allows folks to come into the city of Camden and really shop healthier, which will have like the produce and the meats and the seafoods and all those things, the beans, the vinegars, oils, but also be able to come and experience eating different cuisines, whether it be Peruvian, Caribbean cuisine, Australian cuisine, just different types of foods to educate folks on things that they might not be able to go out and get, or it might not be a restaurant that has those types of food. And we'll also have indoor farming as well. So I want folks to see the indoor farm and see the indoor fish farm and how it operates and how it works and how you can really eat healthier and organic. In Puerto Rico, we have a partner, Fusion Farms, who really do a great job of that in Puerto Rico and in the States and other countries. But I wanted to bring that to our city. And there's so many other, pieces to this puzzle that we want to really allow people to come and enjoy, bring your family, come hang out here, travel from San Antonio. You're stopping through Philadelphia. Hey, come on over to Camden, New Jersey and check out McCargo's spot and see where you can eat, dine, have a good time, have a good beer, a glass of wine, a cigar, and just go look at the sunset off the second floor. So it's a lot of things happening in this building. It's a long process. We've been at it almost 2 years now, just in the planning phases, and we still have a lot more planning to go because it has so many moving parts. You talk about over 100,000 square feet of space that has to be filled, and also being able to hire people from the city to come there, and also be able to have folks that have talent in the cooking space to be able to showcase their products as well.
Wow. Why?
Because no one's done it and it's needed. And it's going to bring people together. And that's what the mission is to make sure that everyone can come in and all the unhappy, unkind things happening in the world and within the cities. This is bringing a bright light. You music and food, dude. You're not going to want to brawl over those two unless someone takes the last flat or unless someone drinks the last beer. But genuinely, those two things under one roof, and you got the right energy behind it, and you got the right people building it out, it's only going to bring people to want to come in and just join each other in a great moment, and that's why. And I know it's needed. I get tired of going over to Philly. I get tired of going to other cities, going to New York for a great time in the food hall. Why not do it here? And God has gifted me with the gift to do it and the brains to do it and surround myself with great people to help make it happen.
I love it. So you said some square feet number, like 100,000 square feet or something.
Yep.
That means you already have a location picked out?
Yes. Funny you asked about the location, man. This location is Palm Point's in North Camden. I'm from South Camden. I passed this building since early. And every day I say, I want that building. And here I am talking about that building, being a home to an eatery. I'm just blown away.
I love that full circleness. I love that part of your story.
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to your whole ethos of giving back and showing people options. And I just love it. So when you had your restaurant, you were also the executive chef at the Cooper Hospital. You were doing both?
No, I left my restaurants to go to Jefferson.
Okay.
Over in Philadelphia. And then I was doing a catering there. And then from Jefferson, I applied for the next Food Network star and took off from there. But I did come back after I won. That's the hard part.
Yeah, I bet that is hard.
Yeah.
You have a cookbook. Tell me about Simply Done, Well Done. Why did you do it? And what is the theme of this cookbook?
The theme of the cookbook is pretty much based on the dedicated part of the book. It was all about people in my family, my life, that I've either made a dish for and that they liked, or that asked me a question, I created the dish. So it's a family-based book, to be honest with you, because I've made so many dishes throughout the years, and folks said, oh, I wish I had that recipe. I wish I had that recipe. And this gave me an opportunity to do just that. And my whole model was like, you don't have to get in the kitchen with 15 ingredients to make something tasty. You got to get in the kitchen with some passion, with no anger, and with some ingredients and some heat, and you're good to go. And I wanted to keep it simple, but I know that once you're done my recipe, you should have that same response. And that's what I do when I'm done. I'm like, man, that's well done. That's dope. That's finished. That's how I like it. And I want people to walk away cooking out of that cookbook and saying, now, that's dope. That's done the way I wanted it to be. And that's all it is.
Your cookbook is keep it simple and do it well, right?
Yes.
A lot of cookbooks are so intimidating because there's 3 pages of steps. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with the TV show Friends.
Yeah.
Many people haven't heard of it. It's called Friends. It was on a while back. There was an episode where Rachel was making a trifle.
Uh-huh.
And I believe some of the pages got stuck together and it was like lady fingers. And then the next layer was like sauteed peas and carrots or something like that. They used it to comic effect because it's hilarious. But in my head, I was like, I could totally understand how that would happen to a novice cook, which she was, because the recipes are so complicated in cookbooks. Again, she was a novice when she did that. And of course, it was all written in BS. But I think that scene illustrates how complicated and intimidating cooking from a cookbook can be, which, back to my point earlier, is why stand and stirs were so important.
Yes.
Well, I love the theme of your book. I love that it's simple ingredients, simple recipes, but do them well, and you can't miss.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
Hey everybody, it's your man Aaron McCargo Jr. Yes, Chef Aaron McCargo Jr., your man AMJ is here with great products for you to use. The sauce and the spice. How do you use it? Well, think of it this way. Anything that you want to add that big bold flavor to, whether it be proteins, whether it be vegetables, whether it be starches, or just your favorite popcorn or french fries, sprinkle the spice or use your sauce And the way that I like to use it, whether mixing it into my ground beef, my ground chicken, to saute my veggies, to roast my potatoes, it's endless what you can do with it. So go to chefaaronmccargo.com, get your sauce and spice today, and believe me, it's the only thing you're gonna need to make food taste great. All right, I'll holler at you. Peace.
Let's get back into it.
Tell me about the spice.
Dude, I'm just going to send you something to play with. That's all I'm going to say to you. My brother Donovan is one of my best friends. He's my best friend. You know, he's my baby brother. We've been through a lot together. And when I test things out between my kids and him, I'm like, bro, what do you think about this? And he put it in, he's like, yo, that's dope. I like that slam. You need to make some more of that. When I first started this whole TV thing, it was a lot of traveling. Like I had 3 suitcases ready because it was either a tour I was doing, it was either a show, an appearance. My wife at the time wasn't really cooking at all because she was busy doing, you know, what she does for a profession. And so I made this batch of spice up, came back, it was in a Ziploc bag and it was gone. She said, hey, you think you can make some more of that, whatever it is that you made? I'm like, yeah, what happened to it? And they were using it. So I started making it. My brother asked for some. He said, bro, you should put this in the bottle. I'm like, yo, I said, what am I gonna call it? He's like, yo, this is a dope spice. I'm like, the spice? He's like, why not? The spice. Took the spice and I sat there and I went into wet formula of it. And about the spice, it's not heavy in sodium. I kept in mind the Fresenius training that I had. Full of big bold flavor, kept in mind my POV, which is making sure that you don't have to do a lot of steps to make something great. And C, I wanted to make sure that it was something that could go on just about anything and everything, from fries to potatoes to veggies to proteins, you name it. The sauce came in as the wet formula. Now that's the concentrate. You got your fresh garlic, you got your oil, you got your citrus, you got your spice. All you have to do is just use 2 tablespoons to 1 pound of anything you're doing. Brussels sprouts, ground turkey, salmon. It's always going to be the same recipe. Give it a stir. You can spread it on bread, make guacamole, make salsa. You don't have to add salt, pepper, garlic, nothing. It's all done for you in a bottle. And I gave that to him and he said, bro, this is going to be a hit. My manager started talking to me. She's like, AMJ, people really want that. You should make more of it. And I started making it, and here we are 12 years later, still in the making, and I'm looking to get it on the supermarket shelves and make sure that the world can taste it, because I think it makes cooking easy for the novice. I think it makes it flavorful. I also think that it cuts down on all the sodium and things that we tend to add. And nothing against Lawry's or any other chef spices, but we don't put preservatives or additives in it. We just let it be what it do.
So the spice and the sauce are basically the same flavors. It's just one is the wet and then one is the dry.
Absolutely. And you can use them together or separately.
Okay, so the sauce, in my head, I was like, the sauce, this dude loves chicken wings. Ooh, this is going to be like a hot sauce. How come you haven't done a hot sauce?
Because there's so many out there, and I got a basic recipe, but there's some that I like that I'm like, I don't even want to. It's like a Big Mac. Folks like, why don't you make your own I love Big Macs, no pickles, extra cheese. I don't want to go make it. You know, certain things as a chef for me, I don't want to make everything that are my likes, because I want to still go to it as my craving. So I wanted to come up with something that's universal. And if someone wants to make a hot sauce out of either one of these, they can play with it. If one day down the road I do decide to do that, I already have the base for it. But the hot sauce thing it's a big world of that, but the sauce is not.
You are correct. I don't think I've ever even heard of a sauce that is like the sauce.
Yeah.
That's dope. Okay, I've asked you a bunch of things. I'm going to ask you the most important thing right now.
I'm ready for you.
Tell me about Play to Win.
You left the best for last. That's my baby. I got the band on right now. We play to win every day.
Where can I get one of those?
I'll send it with the sauce and the spice.
All right.
Yeah. My dad told me, play to win. Don't stop. This is life. You got to play to win. It's not about sports. And if a lot of folks that hear play to win, they automatically mean associated with sports. But it's about picking your passion. You know, you got to play 4 quarters with this. You got to keep going with this. That's the only way you're going to win at it. And it's not picking my passion. It's not picking what I love to do, picking what you love to do. And if you don't know how, that's what my nonprofit's about. So I take these young men from 9th grade to life, you know, so we start off 14, 15. And I don't know about you, but I know some of my toughest years was after high school. You get all that help during high school. But when you get to 19 to 24, 25, that's where the cuckoo cocoa puff's crazy. And you really don't know what you're going to do with your life, whether it be a female that comes into your life or an opportunity to do a bank robbery. You're wide open for anything that's going to make money. You're wide open for anything that looks good and fast turnaround. And I wanted to make sure that I want these young guys to teach them to go after their passion. Don't go after mine. Don't go after what makes money. Go after what you love to do, and then God will do the rest. Because I know that if I wouldn't have stuck with cooking, I wouldn't have been where I am, because I started to get off that track. And I know there's so many guys in my city that think they're going to be basketball players or football players, but they're really good writers and they're really good listeners and they're really good musicians and they can play the cello and not play the drums. You know, they can really write great stories that can be screenplays. They're good with their hands. They could be mechanics. They could be in an ER somewhere, but they don't know that unless someone keeps telling them every day to stick with it. You need math to do this. I hate school with a passion. I would have told everyone to drop out if it was up to me, but I didn't know when someone said, you need math, you need to read for cooking. I don't need math for cooking. Then I realized you need math, you need this for cooking. So I'm here to help these guys in Play to Win understand how to take care of themselves, how to respect themselves, how to go about getting to the outlet that they need to get to so that they can be not successful, because it's not about success. It's about having joy in what you do.
Well, that is success.
That is, but no one's preaching that. No one's telling us that success is in the joy in what you do. They're saying success is in the money you make. It's in the car that you drive. It's in the home that it's in all those things. I want to tell you, like, yo, have fun doing what you do. The money will come. And that's what Play to Win is all about. It's helping these guys understand that I'm here for you. I'm not going to leave you till God calls me home. And I'm going to make sure that we get you to your passion, your dream, and that you can make a difference in the world just like I'm doing.
Part of what you do with Play to Win is you get these young men to explain their thorns and their roses. Tell me what that means and why do you do it?
My brother, Dr. Donovan McCargo, who has his doctorate in education, told me in his classes that this was something he did. So I went up to one of his, because he's a professor as well, and I went to Rowan University. He was doing one of his classes, and he said, all right, let's start with thorns and roses. So the thorns are, what are the hurtful things that prick at you that has happened throughout your week or that has happened in a few days? Let me know what those things are. And then the roses are, explain to me those things that made you joyful, those things that put a smile on your face. Because even as adults, we have thorns and roses. We got things that we could deal with because we are adults. We're supposed to be able to deal with it. We could drink, smoke weed, smoke a cigarette, go watch porn, do 1,000,001 things to get it off. If you're a female, you do the same thing. It doesn't matter the gender. But as a young adult, when you have problems, you feel like there's no one to go to talk to because no one's going to believe it. No one's going to listen to you. You know, and these thorns you keep inside. And I think a lot of men, I'll say the men that I know, we keep a lot of things inside because we've been told not to share these things. And I want them to feel comfortable with knowing that I care about you. I want to hear what hurts your feelings. I want to hear about your week, whether it was something your parents told you could or could not do, or you got a girlfriend break up with you, or someone said your penis was small, whatever. I want to be able to hear and correct those things. But I also want to know that if you don't have good things, how do we create those roses in your life? How do we turn those negative to a positive? And it's all about listening. And man, if we did this more for adults, there would be less mental illness. If we did this more for adults, there would be less murders. But we turn our ears off to people that are hurting. We don't want to observe what they're saying with their eyes, with their voice, with their face, with their walk. I'm here to listen and watch your whole demeanor to see where I can help you at. And if I can't, I know to direct you to God. I know to direct you to another specialist or someone that can do what I can't. But at least I know that if I give you my ear and you tell me your thorns and roses, we got another day. That's all.
That's beautiful. Where can people go to find out more about Play to Win?
ChefAaronMcCargo.com, my website. They can follow me on all the socials at Chef McCargo, and definitely feel free to contribute and to donate to this cause because it's a good cause. We've made a difference. And can I share this with you?
Please.
And I'm going to share this without crying because this program has helped me more than it's helped them. I have 3 kids of my own that I love to death. And a lot of these boys don't have 2 parents in the home. A lot of these boys have lost their parents to whether it's a murder. I had one boy who lost his mother to a sibling that killed her and then killed his uncle in the following. And this is 15. And this boy is supposed to walk and live without therapy or anything. But I also had a boy that after being with me through 9th grade, asked me to come back and cater his wedding.
Oh my God, dude. That gave me chills.
Right there.
You can't see it, but that just gave me chills. That is the sweetest thing.
Dude, blew my mind. Chef, can you come cater my wedding and be a part? And the best part was that he brought all the boys from his class.
Stop it.
That was in that Play to Win session. And we were all at the wedding. And you got to hang up now because you're going to make me cry. So let's do this.
That is amazing. Thanksgiving is this week. I know that last year you made donuts as well as peanut butter and jelly cupcakes. What are you doing for this Thanksgiving, Aaron?
This Thanksgiving is all about the charcuterie board. So I'm going to charcuterie my Thanksgiving this year. So you'll be surprised at what you see. Got lots of boards. I got lots of ideas. I'm going to deconstruct the traditional Thanksgiving and lay it out as a dope spread for Thanksgiving.
Well, I can't wait to see pictures on Instagram.
Yes.
Speaking of Instagram, tell everybody where they can find you on social media.
Chef McCargo. All you got to do is Chef McCargo, Chef Aaron McCargo. You type either one in, you'll see it. Be sure to check me out on YouTube as well, because we've got a lot of YouTube videos, and we've done some great work with AB out there in Vegas. He has a great platform, big YouTuber guy who allowed me the opportunity to come out there with him and Pat Neely to do some videos with them. And we created some really simply done, well done recipes that I think everybody's going to like, with the sauce and the spice.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Again, folks, the sauce, the spice, the cookbook, play to win. You can find all of that stuff at chefaaronmccargo.com. Oh my gosh. Seriously, you have no idea what this means to me. Sitting there watching you for 7 seasons. No way did I ever think I was going to get to talk to you. You are the man, the myth, the legend. And again, I said it at the beginning of the show, bro, you look younger now than you did on that show. I love it. I gotta assume it's because you're under a lot less stress now.
Yeah.
Which is saying a lot, since you already said you had 3 kids, and that's pretty stressful.
Yeah.
Chef Aaron McCargo Jr., before I let you go, is there anything we didn't talk about or I didn't ask you about specifically that you wanted to talk about today? Did we cover everything? Did I miss something?
You nailed everything, man. You crossed and dotted I's and the whole 9 yards, man. I'm blessed to be able to have this opportunity to have you talk to me, because you got something great going on there, man. And I like your personality, and I dig how you allow this to flow, and much success to you. Many more interviews with many more people. And when we do this in Camden, I want you to be one of the first to come down here and check it out, and we could do another one of these.
Oh my gosh. I would love that. My wife and I will drop everything and fly there just for that. We love going to stuff like that. That would be amazing.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
I can't even believe it. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day and your hectic creating sauces and spices and saving young men schedule to hang out and let us get to know you a little bit better on Fascination Street, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Have a blessed one. I appreciate you, man.
You have a blessed one. And you made my day today, sir.
That's 2 of us. I needed you in my life today.
Oh, well, I'm happy I could help. Oh, gosh, the blessing was all mine just to get to speak with you and to see your beautiful face. You have a great rest of your week, and I will talk to you later.
You do the same, Steve. Thank you, brother. Have a blessed one.
Hey, you too.
All right.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right, brother. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. Opening music is the song FSP Theme, written, performed, and provided by Ambush Vin. Closing music is from the song Say My Name off the 2021 album Underdog Anthems, used with permission from Jax Hollow. If you like the show, tell a friend. Subscribe and rate and review the show on iTunes and wherever else you download podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. All the episodes are available there as well. Check me out on Vero at Fascination Street Pod and TikTok at Fascination Street Pod. And again, thanks for listening.